At 0550 hours on the 23rd of October 1944, USS Dace fires 4 Mark 14 torpedoes at IJN Maya. Range approximately 1,000 yards. Palawan Passage. The Japanese heavy cruiser steams at 20 knots as part of Admiral Takeo Kurita's center force. 35 warships, 5 battleships, 10 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 15 destroyers. Heading for Leyte Gulf to destroy the American invasion fleet. Maya does not detect the submarine. The torpedoes run true. One strikes the forward chain locker. One strikes opposite number 1 turret. One strikes number 7 boiler room. One strikes the aft engine room. The explosions are catastrophic. Flooding is immediate. Power fails. The cruiser lists to port. Secondary explosions tear through her hull. 120 mm ready ammunition detonates. At 0557 hours, Maya capsizes. 7 minutes from first torpedo to sinking. 336 men die. 769 survive. They are rescued by destroyer Akishimo. The destroyer transfers them to battleship Musashi. Musashi will be sunk the next day. 143 of Maya's crew die with Musashi. Total casualties from Maya: 479 men out of 1,105. The cruiser that was converted to fight American aircraft is destroyed by an American submarine. The ship that sacrificed offensive firepower for defensive capability never gets the chance to use it. The anti-aircraft cruiser is sunk before engaging a single aircraft. This is the fate of Maya, the evolution that came too late. IJN Maya was a Takao-class heavy cruiser. Hull number Maya, 4th and final ship of the class. Authorized under 1927 to 1931 supplementary budget. Named from Mount Maya outside Kobe. Laid down November 4, 1928 at Kawasaki Shipbuilding Corporation, Kobe. Launched November 8, 1930. Commissioned June 30, 1932. Captain Masaichi Nimi commanded. Standard displacement 11,350 long tons. Full load displacement 15,159 long tons after final refit. Length 203.76 meters overall. Beam 20.7 meters after bulges added. 21.32 meters after additional bulges. Draft 6.3 meters maximum. 4 compound geared turbines drove 4 screws. 12 compound boilers provided steam. 130,000 shaft horsepower produced maximum speed 34.3 knots. Range 8,000 nautical miles at 14 knots. Crew complement 996 after conversion. Original armament was formidable. 10 8-inch 50 caliber Type E guns and 5 twin turrets. 3 forward. 2 aft. 8 5-inch guns and 4 twin turrets. 2 forward. 2 aft. 8 24-inch torpedo tubes and 4 twin mounts. 24 Type 93 long lance torpedoes. 16 reloads. 4 Type 10 4.7-inch high-angle guns and single mounts. Light anti-aircraft was minimal. 2 Vickers 40mm guns. 2 Vickers 7.7mm machine guns. 3 Kawanishi E-7K2 floatplanes. 2 catapults. The Takao class was evolution of the Miyoko class. Larger bridge structure. More torpedo armament. Better fire control. The design was supposed to comply with Washington Naval Treaty limits. 10,000 tons standard displacement. The ships exceeded limits. 11,350 tons. This was concealed from international observers. The excess weight reduced freeboard. It compromised stability. The large tower bridge made it worse, but the ships were powerful, fast, heavily armed. The 4 Takao-class cruisers formed Cruiser Division 4. Takao, Atago, Maya, Chokai. They trained together through the 1930s. Issues with stability became evident. In heavy seas, the ships rolled severely. Top-heavy design was problematic. Takao and Atago were rebuilt 1938 to 1939. The bridge was reduced in size. The mainmast was relocated aft. Hull bulges were added to improve stability. Maya and Chokai received limited modifications. They retained the original large bridge. They can almost be considered separate subclass. At the start of the Pacific War, Maya was based at Mako Guard District in the Pescadores Islands with Atago and Takao. On December 8, 1941, she sailed as part of Vice Admiral Ibo Takahashi's 3rd Fleet to support Japanese landings in the Philippines. She provided cover for convoys. She screened amphibious forces. She hunted Allied shipping attempting to escape the Dutch East Indies. In February 1942, she provided distant cover for the bombing of Darwin. On February 27th, she participated in the Battle of the Java Sea. The Allied ABDACOM fleet was annihilated. Maya engaged Allied cruisers with gunfire and torpedoes. HMS Exeter was sunk. USS Houston was sunk. Japanese control of the Dutch East Indies was secured. From April through June 1942, Maya operated in the Indian Ocean. She attacked British shipping. She screened carrier operations. In August, she participated in operations in the Aleutian Islands. She was flagship of the Fifth Fleet evacuating Japanese garrisons. On March 26, 1943, she participated in the Battle of the Komandorsky Islands. American forces attempted to interdict Japanese supply convoys to the Aleutians. Maya received minor damage. She returned to Yokosuka for repairs. In September 1943, Maya began transport missions between Truk and Rabaul. On November 5th, she was anchored in Rabaul Harbor when American carrier aircraft attacked. Task Force 38, USS Saratoga and USS Princeton. Cruisers, destroyers, SBD Dauntless dive bombers struck the anchored ships. Maya was hit by one bomb on the aircraft deck above No. 3 engine room. The bomb penetrated. It detonated in the engine room. Fire erupted. 70 men died. The engine room was destroyed. Maya received temporary repairs at Rabaul. She returned to Yokosuka in December 1943. She entered dry dock. The damage was severe. Repairs would take months, but the Imperial Japanese Navy had made a decision. Maya would not simply be repaired. She would be converted. The decision came from painful experience. American air power dominated the Pacific. Japanese carriers had been destroyed at Midway. More were lost at Philippine Sea. American carrier task forces roamed at will. They struck Japanese bases. They attacked convoys. They decimated shipping. Japanese warships could not defend themselves. Anti-aircraft armament was inadequate. The 25mm Type 96 gun was the standard light anti-aircraft weapon. It was insufficient. Rate of fire was low. Range was short. Effectiveness against modern aircraft was minimal. The Navy Technical Department proposed converting heavy cruisers to anti-aircraft cruisers. Remove main battery turrets. Add dual-purpose guns. Add dozens of 25mm guns. Create floating anti-aircraft platforms to protect the fleet. 2 Takao-class cruisers would be converted. Maya and Chokai. Maya was selected first because she was already in dry dock for repairs. The conversion was radical. No. 3 turret was removed. The aft 8-inch twin turret between the funnels. This eliminated 20% of the main battery, but it created space and weight allowance for massive anti-aircraft armament. The old single 4.7-inch high-angle guns were removed. All existing 25mm guns were removed. The old twin torpedo tubes were removed. New armament was installed. 6 twin 127mm Type 89 dual-purpose guns. 12 guns total. These were mounted where No. 3 turret had been. Additional mounts were placed amidships. The 127mm gun could engage surface targets or aircraft. Maximum elevation 75 degrees. Rate of fire 14 rounds per minute. Effective ceiling 9,140 meters. Range at 45 degrees elevation 14,800 meters. These were effective weapons. But 6 twin mounts was extraordinary for a cruiser. Most Japanese heavy cruisers had 4 twin mounts. Light anti-aircraft armament was increased dramatically. 13 triple 25mm mounts. 39 guns. 27 single 25mm mounts. 27 guns. Total 66 Type 96 25mm guns. This was more than 3 times the original light anti-aircraft armament. Some sources indicate additional single mounts were added later. 18 more in June 1944. Total 84 25mm guns. The 25mm gun was fundamentally inadequate. Muzzle velocity 770 meters per second. Effective range 1,500 meters. Maximum range 5,500 meters. Rate of fire 220 rounds per minute for single mounts. 260 rounds per minute for triple mounts. The gun could not effectively engage modern American fighters. F-6F Hellcats cruised at 370 kilometers per hour. They attacked at over 500 kilometers per hour. The 25mm gun could not track fast enough, could not elevate quickly enough, could not generate sufficient volume of fire. American 40mm Bofors guns were superior in every metric. Higher muzzle velocity, longer range, better fire control. Radar directed, the Japanese had no equivalent. They installed dozens of inferior weapons, hoping quantity would compensate for quality. It did not, but the conversion gave Maya appearance of formidable anti-aircraft capability. 6 twin 127mm turrets, 66 or 84 25mm guns. From a distance, she bristled with weapons. The silhouette was distinctive. Number 3 turret was gone. Twin 100 to 27mm mounts rose where it had been. Additional mounts lined the superstructure. She looked like what she was, an anti-aircraft cruiser, the first of her kind in the Imperial Japanese Navy. Torpedo armament was upgraded. 4 quadruple Type 92 mounts, 16 610mm tubes. The Type 93 long lance torpedo remained the deadliest torpedo in any navy. 24-inch diameter, 1,780 kilograms. Warhead 490 kilograms. Oxygen propulsion, no wake. Range 40,000 meters at 36 knots, 20,000 meters at 48 knots. These torpedoes had devastated Allied ships in surface actions. But by 1944, surface actions were rare. American air power decided battles before surface forces engaged. Electronics were upgraded. Type 22 surface search radar. Type 13 air search radar. Type 21 air search radar replaced the Type 13. New fire control radars for the 127mm guns. Communications equipment was modernized. Maya emerged from conversion in April 1944. 4 months in dry dock. She was transformed. No longer a balanced heavy cruiser, now a specialized anti-aircraft platform. Standard displacement increased to 13,350 long tons. Beam increased to 20.7 meters due to enlarged bulges for stability. Draft increased to 6.3 meters. Maximum speed fell to 34.3 knots. The additional topside weight degraded performance, but speed mattered less than firepower. Maya was intended to operate with the battle fleet, protecting battleships and carriers from air attack. Maximum speed of the fleet was limited by the slowest capital ships. Maya could keep up. She departed Yokosuka in May 1944. She joined Cruiser Division 4. Her sisters Takao and Atago had received anti-aircraft upgrades, but not conversion. They retained 5 8-inch turrets. Chokai retained her original configuration. She had not returned to Japan for refit. Plans to convert her like Maya were shelved. There was no time. The war situation was deteriorating. Maya participated in the defense of the Philippines from April through June. On June 19th and 20th, 1944, the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the largest carrier battle in history. 9 American fleet carriers, 8 light carriers, 7 battleships, 21 cruisers, 69 destroyers. The mobile fleet sortied to intercept. 5 fleet carriers, 4 light carriers, 5 battleships, 13 cruisers, 28 destroyers. The result was catastrophic for Japan. 3 carriers sunk. Over 600 aircraft destroyed. American losses were minimal. The battle demonstrated Japanese naval aviation was finished. Carriers without aircraft were useless. Pilots could not be replaced. The veterans were dead. The new pilots were inadequately trained. They flew obsolete aircraft against superior American fighters and anti-aircraft defenses. Maya was part of Seaforce. Battleships Yamato and Musashi. Battleships Kongo and Haruna. Heavy cruisers including all 4 Takao class. 1 light cruiser. 7 destroyers. Maya was positioned with the battleships to provide anti-aircraft protection. On June 20th, scout aircraft from Maya spotted Task Force 58 at 300 miles distance. Over 50 TBF Avenger torpedo bombers attacked. Maya and other escorts formed defensive ring around carrier Chiyoda. The anti-aircraft barrage was intense. Many American aircraft were damaged. Several were shot down, but the attacks continued. Maya was damaged by near misses. Not seriously, but the battle exposed the futility of her conversion. American air attacks were overwhelming. Dozens of aircraft attacking simultaneously. Coordinated strikes. Fighter escorts suppressing anti-aircraft fire. Dive bombers and torpedo bombers attacking from multiple directions. No amount of anti-aircraft fire could stop them all. Maya's 66 or 84 25mm guns fired continuously. They shot down some aircraft, but most attackers completed their runs. The mathematics were unfavorable. One ship could not generate sufficient volume of fire to defeat massed air attack. Maya returned to Yokosuka on June 25th. Her aircrew disembarked. Their pet monkey disembarked. 18 additional single 25mm mounts were installed. She departed July 14th, transporting units of the 28th Division to Miyako-jima. She continued to Singapore. She joined Korea's 1st Diversionary Attack Force for Operation Show 1, the defense of the Philippines. American forces invaded Leyte on October 20, 1944. The Japanese fleet sortied. Operation Show was the last major naval operation. All available forces were committed. The plan was complex, multiple forces attacking from different directions. Northern force with remaining carriers would lure American carriers north. Center force with battleships and cruisers would penetrate San Bernardino Strait and attack the invasion fleet. Southern force would penetrate Surigao Strait and attack from the south. The invasion fleet would be destroyed. American operations in the Philippines would be disrupted. Center force departed Brunei Bay on October 22nd. 5 battleships: Yamato, Musashi, Nagato, Kongo, Haruna. 10 heavy cruisers including all 4 Takao class, 2 light cruisers, 15 destroyers. Admiral Kurita commanded from Otago. The force steamed northeast through Palawan Passage, heading for San Bernardino Strait. USS Darter and USS Dace were on patrol. Commander David McClintock commanded Darter. Commander Bladen Claggett commanded Dace. The submarines operated as Wolfpack. On October 21st, Darter detected fast-moving contacts, 3 large warships heading north. Darter reported and tracked but could not close. On October 22nd, just after midnight, Darter's radar detected large group of heavy ships, center force. Darter reported immediately. The submarines maneuvered ahead of the Japanese formation. At dawn on October 23rd, they submerged on the projected track. At 0532 hours, Darter fired 6 torpedoes at Otago. 4 struck. Otago was mortally wounded. Admiral Kurita transferred to battleship Yamato. Otago sank at 0543. 360 men died. Darter then fired 4 torpedoes at Takao. 2 struck. Takao was severely damaged. She turned back toward Brunei, escorted by 2 destroyers. She reached Singapore but never sailed again. Dace positioned north of Darter. At 0554, Dace spotted 2 sets of masts, heavy cruiser Maya, minesweeper or frigate. Dace went to battle stations. Commander Claggett maneuvered for attack. At approximately 0550 hours, Dace fired 4 torpedoes at Maya. All 4 struck. The range was approximately 1,000 yards. Point blank for submarine attack. The torpedoes struck forward chain locker, opposite number 1 turret, number 7 boiler room, aft engine room. The damage was catastrophic. Forward compartments flooded immediately. Number 7 boiler room exploded. Steam and superheated water killed everyone inside. The aft engine room flooded. Power failed throughout the ship. Steering was lost. Propulsion was lost. The list increased rapidly. Secondary explosions followed. 120 mm ready ammunition detonated. The ready ammunition was stored near the guns for rapid fire. When the ship listed, the shells broke loose. Some detonated. The explosions spread fire. More ammunition cooked off. The ship was dying. At 0557 hours, Maya capsized to port. 7 minutes. From first torpedo to capsizing, 7 minutes. Destroyer Akishimo closed immediately. Rescue operations began. Men in the water, hundreds of them. Akishimo pulled them aboard. 769 survivors. 336 dead. The survivors were transferred to Musashi for transport to Manila. Musashi would be sunk October 24th by carrier aircraft. 143 of Maya's survivors died with Musashi. The anti-aircraft cruiser designed to defend against air attack was destroyed by submarine. She never engaged American aircraft during her final operation. She never fired her 66 or 84 25mm guns at attacking planes. She never demonstrated whether the conversion was effective. The mathematics never had chance to be tested. 4 torpedoes ended the experiment. The irony is complete. Maya sacrificed 2 8-inch guns for 6 twin 127mm guns and dozens of 25mm guns. The purpose was to defend the fleet against American air power. But American submarines found her first. The torpedoes did not care about anti-aircraft armament. They struck below the waterline. They flooded compartments. They destroyed propulsion. They sank the ship. All the anti-aircraft guns in the world could not stop torpedoes. The conversion itself was questionable. Removing number 3 turret eliminated 20% of the main battery. This reduced Maya's capability in surface action. But by 1944, surface actions were rare. Most battles were decided by air power. The Japanese reasoned that anti-aircraft capability mattered more than surface firepower. This was correct in theory. In practice, the execution was flawed. The 25mm gun was inadequate. 66 or 84 guns firing simultaneously could saturate a small area. But American attacks involved dozens of aircraft attacking from multiple directions. The guns could not engage all threats. Fire control was inadequate. Optical sights only. No radar direction. Gunners had to visually track fast-moving aircraft. Lead the target. Estimate range. Adjust for ship movement and aircraft movement. Accuracy was low. Volume of fire compensated partially. But modern fighters were fast. They attacked at high speed. They dove from altitude. They jinking during attack runs. Hitting them with 25mm fire was difficult. The 127mm guns were more effective. Longer range. Larger explosive shells. Better fire control. But 6 twin mounts was not enough. American attacks came in waves. First wave suppressed defenses. Second wave attacked primary targets. Third wave finished damaged ships. Continuous attacks overwhelmed defenses. Guns overheated. Ammunition was depleted. Crews were exhausted. The attacks did not stop. The comparison with American anti-aircraft doctrine is instructive. American carriers and battleships carried dozens of 40mm Bofors guns, dozens of 20mm Oerlikon guns, 5-inch 38 caliber dual-purpose guns, radar-directed fire control, VT proximity fuses, coordinated fighter direction from combat information centers, layered defense, combat air patrol intercepted before attackers reached the fleet, long-range 5-inch guns engaged at distance, medium-range 40mm guns engaged close in, short-range 20mm guns provided last-ditch defense. The system worked. Kamikaze attacks in 1945 demonstrated that massed attacks could penetrate, but casualties were manageable. Ships survived. Japanese doctrine was reactive. Install more guns. Hope volume of fire compensates for inferior fire control and inadequate weapons. It did not work. Maya's conversion demonstrated the problem. Sacrificing offensive capability for inadequate defensive capability left the ship vulnerable to threats her defenses could not counter. She could not effectively defend against massed air attack. She retained no capability to defend against submarine attack. She was a specialized ship in a war that rewarded balanced capability. But Maya was not alone in this failure. The entire Imperial Japanese Navy suffered from inadequate anti-aircraft doctrine. All Japanese warships received anti-aircraft upgrades during the war. Battleships, carriers, cruisers, destroyers, all added more 25mm guns. All remained vulnerable. Battleship Musashi was sunk October 24, 1944 by torpedo and bomb attacks. She absorbed over 20 torpedoes and 17 bomb hits before sinking. Her anti-aircraft armament was massive, over 125mm guns. It was not enough. The attacks continued until she went down. Maya was removed from the Navy list December 20, 1944, 2 months after sinking. The bureaucratic acknowledgement of her loss: 479 men dead, 769 survivors minus 143 who died on Musashi, 626 final survivors, from crew of 1,105. On April 19, 2019, researchers aboard RV Petrel announced discovery of Maya's wreck. Palawan Passage, depth 1,850 meters, 6,070 feet. The wreck sits upright. Bow broken off, lying upside down off the port quarter. The rest of the ship is intact. All main gun turrets in place. 4 turrets. Number 3 is missing. That confirms identification. Only Maya had 4 8-inch turrets after conversion. The massive bridge structure is intact. She is in astonishingly good condition for warship sunk 80 years ago. The wreck is war grave. 626 men survived. 336 died with the ship. They rest there still. Maya is protected site. No salvage permitted. She lies where she sank. Testament to failed conversion. Evidence of flawed doctrine. Symbol of Japanese desperation in 1944. The story of Maya is tragedy of misplaced priorities. The Imperial Japanese Navy recognized the threat. American air power was dominant. Japanese ships needed better anti-aircraft defenses. The diagnosis was correct. The treatment was inadequate. Installing dozens of inferior weapons did not solve the problem. Better fire control was needed. Better weapons were needed. Radar was needed. VT fuses were needed. Coordinated defense doctrine was needed. Japan had none of these. Instead, Japan installed more 25mm guns, hundreds of them, thousands across the fleet. They were inadequate individually. They were inadequate collectively. The rate of fire was too low. The range was too short. The accuracy was too poor. No amount of inferior weapons could compensate for qualitative inferiority. Maya learned this lesson. The entire Japanese fleet learned this lesson. They learned it through defeat and destruction, but the lesson came too late. By the time Maya was converted, the war was nearly lost. American forces controlled the Central Pacific. American carriers operated at will. American submarines strangled Japanese shipping. American air power dominated the skies. One anti-aircraft cruiser could not change the outcome. Two anti-aircraft cruisers could not change the outcome. The entire Japanese fleet could not change the outcome. Maya participated in every major operation of the Pacific War until she was sunk. Java Sea, Indian Ocean, Komandorsky Islands, Philippine Sea. Her crew fought bravely. Her guns fired when targets appeared. Her torpedoes sank enemy ships. She was effective heavy cruiser until her conversion. After conversion, she never got chance to prove effectiveness. 7 minutes after the torpedoes struck, she was gone. The designation anti-aircraft cruiser implied specialized capability. Maya had the guns. She had the fire control. She had the crew. What she did not have was immunity to submarine attack. No ship had that. No amount of anti-aircraft armament protected against torpedoes. The conversion that was supposed to make her more survivable made her more vulnerable. She sacrificed balanced capability for specialized capability. She lost offensive firepower. She gained defensive firepower that was never tested. Then she encountered threat her specialization could not counter. USS Dace fired 4 torpedoes, 4 hits, 7 minutes to capsizing. The anti-aircraft cruiser sank without firing a shot. The guns that were supposed to defend the fleet never engaged an aircraft during her final operation. The conversion that cost 4 months in dry dock produced ship that lasted 4 months in combat. From April to October 1944, then torpedoes, then Palawan Passage, then the bottom. The evolution came too late. By the time Maya was converted, the war was lost. By the time she rejoined the fleet, American dominance was complete. By the time she sortied for Operation Show, the outcome was determined. The anti-aircraft cruiser was doomed not by her design, but by the strategic situation. No ship could change what was coming. No amount of anti-aircraft guns could stop the American advance. Maya tried. Her crew tried. They steamed toward Leyte knowing the odds. They knew the Americans had overwhelming air power. They knew submarines hunted the approaches. They went anyway. Orders were orders. Duty was duty. The fleet sortied. Maya went with them. At 0557 hours on October 23, 1944, she capsized. The anti-aircraft evolution ended. The experiment concluded. The conversion proved irrelevant. Not because the concept was wrong, because the execution was flawed, because the weapons were inadequate, because the strategic situation was hopeless, because 4 torpedoes struck below the waterline where anti-aircraft guns could not reach. Maya rests in Palawan Passage. Depth 1,850 meters. Upright. Intact. 4 8-inch turrets. Massive bridge. Testimony to what Japan attempted. Evidence of what Japan lacked. Symbol of evolution that came too late. The skysweeper that was swept away by submarines. The anti-aircraft cruiser that never fired at aircraft during her final battle. The ship that sacrificed offensive power for defensive power and was destroyed before she could use either. That was Maya. That was the anti-aircraft evolution. Too little, too late. Gone in 7 minutes.